Okay folks, welcome back. Today I want to have a look at a rifle scope. This guy right here, this is the Vortex Diamondback Tactical 6-24 by 50. This is a new offering from Vortex. It's going for around $400, which is $100 cheaper than the Vortex Strike Eagle that I did a video on just a few weeks back, the Vortex Strike Eagle 4-24 by 50. Today's video is all about the Diamondback, but you're going to see it compared a whole lot to the Strike Eagle. This guy's $100 more at $500. So the Diamondback Tactical has got some insane features for $400. I would say the number one cool thing it's got is first focal plane. I think that caught a lot of people's attention because 24 power first focal plane scopes for $400, there's not a lot of those out there. Let's look at the rest of the specs here. First thing I should say is I went with the MOA version. It has the EBR2C MOA reticle. So MOA reticle and MOA adjustments on this guy. They do have an MRAD version where both the adjustments and the reticle are in MRADs. Yeah, let's have a look at the reticle. This is a terrible picture on the box here, and you can't really see much. We'll be looking through the scope itself here in just a few minutes. This guy's 30 millimeter and it is 14.5 inches where the Strike Eagle was 14.9, so it's just a little bit shorter. The weight 24.6 and the Strike Eagle was 1 ounce heavier at 25.6. I think a lot of that probably has to do with the Strike Eagle having an illuminated reticle. So we don't have the weight of an illuminated reticle here. Eye relief on the Diamondback is 3.9 inches. The Strike Eagle is 3.5. Field of view at 100 yards. So at 24 power, it's 4.5 feet for the Diamondback and 4.3 feet for the Strike Eagle. This is a quarter MOA adjustments, same as the Strike Eagle. This guy does have 15 MOA per rotation. The Strike Eagle is a 12 MOA turret. Windage and elevation are 65 MOA on this guy. They were 80 MOA on the Strike Eagle. So a few differences there that might matter to you. So let's have a little first-hand look at this guy. Pretty standard Vortex stuff. Most of their scopes are styled pretty similarly. The power adjustment rotates pretty nicely. Like there's plenty of resistance there, but it rotates freely. Down to 6 and up to 24. That was a problem that we had on the Strike Eagle. It is extremely stiff and very hard to turn. So the Diamondback is a little bit better in that regard. Does have a side focus and, you know, parallax adjustment over here. The scale starts at 10 yards. Holy crap. That's pretty cool. And it's marked pretty well. Goes up to 300 and then jumps to infinity. So this is a really nice focus knob. The Strike Eagle, not so much. They just put some random marks on here with no markings at all. You get one. Like all the way down here, right near the bottom of the adjustment, you get a 20. And then from that point forward, there are no numbers on anything at all. It's ridiculous. Oh yeah, we get an infinity symbol at the end of the adjustment. So Strike Eagle knob is a confusing pain in the butt. The Strike Eagle also has the illuminated reticle adjustment out here on the end. I'm not a big illuminated reticle guy, so it's not much of a downside for me that the Diamondback doesn't have it. Like I mentioned, I think that's probably a good part of the weight difference between the two, and I would rather have a 1 ounce lighter scope. So these are quarter-minute clicks. The turrets are decent size, like you feel like you got something to get a hold of, but they are a little bit kind of mushy. Like there is a click between each setting, but when you're on a setting, like you can rotate it back and forth. And out on the range, I had a little bit of a problem because the index on the body of the scope doesn't really line up. I should go get another lens that'll zoom a little bit better, but hopefully you get the idea. Like if we try and go to 0, it's like, okay, is that 0? It's a little bit high. Then you go down there, it's a little bit low. So I don't know which one's the right 0. And out on the range, I was trying to do like a 6 MOA adjustment and just went up to 6 there. And I'm like, which setting is the right one? So that's slightly annoying, but not a huge deal, I guess. Kind of the same way up here. You do feel a click, like it does click between, but it's not quite as sharp as you'd like. On the Strike Eagle, it is a little bit better. This is a 12 MOA turret where that's a 15, so these kind of notch between the settings a little bit better and they line up really nicely, so you always kind of know where you're at. But here's one problem I've had trying to read this guy when it's on the gun and you're just trying to peek around and make your adjustment. I mean, what's the alternative, I guess? Putting it way out here, you don't want that. So it just is what it is. But I like the way this guy clicks a little bit better than the Diamondback. And it'll have the same problem I'm talking about, where sometimes it's hard to get your head turned enough to be able to see the index when you're actually behind the gun. So the Diamondbacks are all made in China as far as I know. That's just like the Strike Eagle. Strike Eagle is also made in China. But ergonomically speaking, I guess you could say, these two scopes are very similar. The Diamondback is first focal plane and the Strike Eagle is second focal plane. What that means is with the Strike Eagle, you can only use your reticle for ranging at max magnification. It has to be on 24 power for the reticle to read correctly, because it doesn't change size as we zoom in and out. I'll show you a little bit of footage here in just a minute. With the Diamondback being a first focal plane scope, the reticle changes size as you adjust your magnification, and that allows you to use it for ranging at any distance, or any magnification, I should say. So if you need that, if first focal plane is something that's important to you, then this isn't really even a comparison, right? You got to go with the Diamondback. Now, the illuminated reticle in the Strike Eagle, if that's something that's important to you, well, you know, the Strike Eagle has it and the Diamondback doesn't. 15 MOA turrets versus 12, 80 minutes of adjustment on the Strike Eagle where you get 65 on the Diamondback. So, you know, there's a few things to where if they are important features for you, this isn't going to be a hard decision between these two. So first things first here with the Diamondback Tactical, I want to go out to the range and do the same test that we did in the Strike Eagle video. And that's, well, first of all, to see if this guy will shoot groups, but I also want to see how well these turrets track. If we make a 6 MOA adjustment, does it actually move our point of impact 6 MOA? And is it repeatable? That's the question. So let's go out to the range and see if this guy will shoot. Okay, folks, it's time for the tracking test of our Vortex Diamondback. This is going to be identical to the test we did with the Strike Eagle. We're on the same range, we're shooting the same gun, we're using the exact same ammunition. Everything's the same. I've got a target at 100 yards with 5 dots, and throughout this test, I'm going to be aiming at the center dot. The outside dot, so like the top right-hand dot, is 6 minutes to the right and 6 minutes up. And then the top left dot is 12 minutes to the left of that guy. So I'm going to continue to aim at the center dot throughout, and we're going to make scope adjustments that will hopefully land our groups at those outer dots. But we're going to start out by double checking the zero. I'm going to shoot a 3-shot group at the center dot before we go making any adjustments. Okay, so that's close enough. Man, the sun has come out. It has messed up my camera. Okay, that's a little bit better. All right, now let's go for the top right-hand dot, which means we need to go up 6 minutes. And we need to go right 6 minutes. Well, I guess there's a little problem. When I went to the right 6 minutes, the mark is kind of lining up in the middle. All right, let me go back to 0 and I'll count the clicks. Okay, there we go. That's 6 minutes. All right, I need 3 more rounds in the magazine. Going to continue to aim at the center dot. Hopefully the group moves to the top right. Okay, we're looking pretty good so far. 3 more rounds in the magazine. And this time, let's go down 12 minutes. All right, that should put us at the bottom right-hand dot. Okay, good stuff. 3 more rounds in the magazine. This time, let's go 12 minutes to the left. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and go up 12 minutes as well. So we'll go to the top left dot. There we go. Top left dot. Okay, now down 12 for the bottom left-hand dot. Okay, up 6, right 6. Yeah, this stupid windage knob, the mark seems to be basically right in between the scale on the knob, so I could be a quarter minute off. So we should be back to our normal 0. Here are 5 shots in the magazine. Let's see if they go back to hitting the center. All right, folks, that's not half bad. Let's get back to the bench. All right, so that's not a bad target. I'll tell you what, I'll show you the target from the Strike Eagle video as well here side by side. They both did a pretty good job. A little bit of error with both of them. You know, a quarter or maybe a half MOA at most offset from where we expected the group to be. But there are a couple things that can affect that. First of all, I made those targets and I used 6 1/4 inches for 6 MOA at 100 yards. So that's pretty darn close. I did my best to make it square and get the distances correct. So it was pretty close, but you know, maybe a little bit of error on my part. The other thing that could really screw up a test like this is if I don't have my scope lined up properly in my scope base. Like as it's sitting right here where it's tilted a little bit right, that reticle is going to move straight up and down, which may not be perfectly straight up and down and perfectly in line with my bore, right? So maybe a little bit of error induced there as well. So both of these targets looked good for me. Both of them shot good groups. Both of them returned to 0. So for that most basic requirement of will it hold 0, will it shoot a group, I think it definitely passes that. So I have another 24 power Vortex scope. This is a Viper PST 6 to 24 by 50. Now this is an older one. This is the generation 1. I didn't realize it, but they actually do still sell these. These are like 900 to 1,000 bucks, I think. Maybe you can get them on sale sometimes. And then they've got the new generation 2 PST scopes that are 1,000 or 1,100 bucks. So a little bit better scope, little higher quality, should have some better glass, you would think. This is also a first focal plane scope. So what I decided to try and do was to get some images through these 3 scopes with this thing. This is a scope camera adapter. Like you strap this guy to the scope and you can slide a cell phone in and out of here and it takes a little picture through that hole. There's like a little mirror sort of deal. It kind of sucks, like, I don't know, it works okay, but I don't use it very often. So I want to show you some footage that I took through that, but I need you guys to understand that the actual view with your eyeball through these scopes is much better than the images I got. It just is, with all 3. I'm using a cell phone camera, the focus is all weird. I have no idea what the quality of the mirror in that camera adapter is. But I think I got some good pictures and video that will help illustrate the differences between these different scopes, I think. So just understand that focus and clarity issues aren't necessarily Vortex's fault. So here's an electric pole that is on the other hillside about 600 or 700 yards from my house. And what you're looking at here is the left-hand crosshair is the Diamondback Tactical, the one in the center is the Strike Eagle, and the one on the right is the PST. So the first thing to look at here in this picture is what's called chromatic aberration. Like all the way on the left in the Diamondback picture, on the right-hand side of the pole, you'll see that almost kind of a green shadow looking thingy. And if you look down at the tree, you see the same sort of thing off to the right-hand side. That's called chromatic aberration, and it's a hallmark of just low quality glass, cheap glass. Now, if you look in the center at the Strike Eagle, you'll also notice a pretty good amount of chromatic aberration on the right-hand side of the pole, a little bit off of the leaves. And then if you look at the Viper PST on the right-hand side, you'll see very little or a whole lot less. So hopefully you guys are able to look through, like I mentioned, just the general crappiness of the picture or the clarity or the focus. Like, forget about those things. Just look at that chromatic aberration. That's what you want to focus on. And I'll tell you what, I'll run you through the video of this, so maybe you get a better feel for the differences between these 3 scopes. I'll do them in the same order from left to right. So, you know, first we'll look at the Diamondback, then the Strike Eagle, and then the PST. And hopefully by looking at the video, you can tell like this isn't just one frame that I happened to pluck out because it illustrated the point. I mean, this is it's a phenomenon that's always there. I will tell you though, through the naked eye, you don't see it this much. It doesn't seem this distracting. So the next lineup of images is a trailer tire. I was like 40 yards away from this trailer tire. I had all the scopes on 24 power. On the left with the Diamondback, you see that bluish halo right around the bead of the tire. And then in the middle is the Strike Eagle. It's also there, but seems to be a little bit less pronounced. And then on the right with the PST, you can see just a touch, like down at the bottom of the picture, you can see just a little bit of blue there around the rim. Now the next two here, I didn't have the PST out whenever I took this, but this is just on the left is the Diamondback. This is zoomed all the way in with a target at 100 yards. And on the right is the Strike Eagle. These were way out of focus, but we can look around the edge of the target, like right along the top edge of the target, that purple, and you see it in both pictures. And I guess this picture here, as crappy as it is, might give you the best look we've seen so far at the reticle. On the left, this EBR2C reticle that's in the Diamondback has got an open center. Like this is an etched reticle, by the way, in both of these scopes. But you can see there on the left with the Diamondback, it doesn't actually come to a cross. It's an open crosshair there. I thought that would drive me bonkers, but it really hasn't bothered me at all. Like I still feel like I hold really well with that scope. You can see here with this 1-inch dot way out of focus here at 100 yards, like you can hold that. So I'm not too bothered by the reticle. One thing you should notice though, on the right-hand side with the Strike Eagle, it is a darker reticle, and it's all, it's also illuminated if you want to turn it on. So with the second focal plane scope, as I zoom out, the crosshairs on the right will stay exactly the same, while the ones on the left, the entire reticle is going to shrink down to scale with the change in magnification. So let me show you that really quick. I've got some videos. The first one here, of course, will be the Diamondback that kind of shows you all the way through its 6 to 24 adjustment range. Same deal with the Strike Eagle and then the Vortex Viper PST. So I guess I have to make a confession at this point. I hate first focal plane scopes when they're zoomed out. My eyesight sucks so bad that when this Diamondback reticle zooms all the way out, I can't see the damn thing. It's just too damn small. So maybe it's still accurate and I'm still able to use it for ranging, but you got to be able to see it to do that. That does make me wish that this guy had the illuminated reticle instead of the Strike Eagle. Like the Strike Eagle doesn't need it. It's got that big heavy reticle that always stays nice and big, where the first focal plane Diamondback, that reticle gets so small and thin when you crank the power down to 6 that an illuminated reticle would actually be handy. So I guess this is a bit of a divide where we need to go our two ways, because most of the scopes I own, the times I turn them down are hunting situations. When I'm just sitting in my tree stand, I'll almost always have my scope turned all the way down. That way if a deer pops up and I need to get on it quickly, I'm not hunting for the animal in my scope. So in that situation, a hunting situation, low power, where you're looking for fast target acquisition, then an itty bitty little zoomed out first focal plane scope kind of sucks. So for a hunting scope, I think I'll take second focal plane. Now, if you're on the other side of that fence, if you're a long range shooter and being able to range with your reticle is a big deal for the matches or just the shooting you do in general, then I think we've just got to come to an understanding. Like I get where you're coming from. I hope you get where I'm coming from. Second focal plane it just kind of works better for me. So let's see, is there anything else I need to talk about? I don't think so. This scope is definitely worth its $400 price tag. I hope you're not put off by some of the crappy pictures and video that I took through the stupid scope cam. I promise you, it looks better with your eyeball. I wish the adjustments were more crisp, but I'm sure I'll get used to that. But I'm glad I own one of these. I think I need one more scope, and I think I'm probably going to end up getting another Strike Eagle. I think the glass is a touch better in the Strike Eagle than it is in the Diamondback, but the difference wasn't huge. Like, we still saw a fair amount of chromatic aberration out of the Strike Eagle as well. But I mean, that's just the price you pay for shooting scopes in this price range. My groups at 100 yards on paper are just as small with these two as they are with the PST back there. But, the PST is twice as much, and you're paying for that better glass. In my testing over the last month or so with these two scopes, I've never once looked through them and thought, oh man, I wish that glass was clearer. If you're shooting long range, you might. So if we go back to the picture of the power pole up on the hill, it looks like the pole is about 2 MOA wide, something like that. So I'm sure as you get to 1,000 yards and beyond, or if you're trying to shoot something very small out at those ranges, that distortion could make all the difference to you. But if I wanted to shoot one of the guy wires off that pole, I feel like I could aim pretty well with all three. So these are the tough choices we make as gun owners, I guess. But I'm happy with the purchase I made here, and I think that's where we'll leave it. I'll see you guys next time.